Hey guys, it's Boss here again, Meow. I can't wait for the next stream, Meow, so we can hang out and eat snacks together. It's gonna be a good time. Meow.
All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the stream. Welcome if you are new. Appreciate you guys joining me today. Got a bit of a different camera angle going on here. I need to see if I can adjust this a little bit. But welcome back to the stream, guys. Hope everybody's doing well. Happy St. Patrick's Day to everybody out there. Now, Gaming Survivor with Modship comes a great responsibility. So, mod responsibly, Gaming Survivor. But, yeah, after yesterday's stream... Yeah, oh, yeah, by the way, Gaming Survivor, you gotta become a member, bro. Well, we'll see. We'll see if we get any membership gifts over the course of this stream. Chris, you're saying you did something last night? I don't like the way you're setting that up. I don't like the way you're setting that up, man. Set the lights to color changing. Oh, yeah. Hold on. Come on, boss. Let's see if I can set it. What do we have it on smooth? Set. I think that's the one we chose. Yeah, so, boss, bro, I didn't bring you. See, this is why. This is why I don't bring him into the stream immediately, because Just thinks it's snack time now. That sounds ominous. It does. It does. Yeah, yesterday on the stream, I was getting a little bit of feedback, mainly after the stream. Just seems like there was too many distractions, like too much passive trolling, I guess. Just people kind of, not many, but just I was getting feedback from people that were letting me know they're just trying to enjoy the stream and enjoy the conversations, and somebody basically saying it feels like it's turning into a Twitter thread or whatever, and I'm like, all right, we're gonna have to straighten some things out, sort some things out, and I did some sorting. I did. So, but anyway, no, Gaming Survivor's not going to ban you. Me and Gaming Survivor talked. He's going to mod responsibly. You don't have to worry, okay? You're not going to get banned. No worries. But we are going to be talking a little bit about Intergalactic today, the Heretic Prophet, because apparently this game is being compared to Elden Ring. Very interested in this. Fred says, who's disrespecting my community? Boss, go chill. Oh my God, dude. Well, I appreciate that, okay? Oh man, boss is getting hair everywhere, dude. Sorry. This is the problem. This is the problem. Boss, you're too hairy. Been dealing with a lot of trolls. Yeah, there's just too much. There's been too many people who constantly try to drag the conversations into one direction, or a specific direction that I'm trying to avoid. And so for stuff like that, I'm trying to avoid it. I'm trying to make sure that the conversations we have are more focused, I guess, on the stuff that we're that when I put like the titles up and the topics, that they're more focused on that. There's always going to be room for getting a little bit out of pocket, and I always leave room for that. You guys know that. But yeah, we're just wrangling things a little bit around here. But we're going to be talking a little bit about Elden Ring, and specifically how it pertains apparently to Intergalactic, the Heretic Prophet. We're going to be talking about Resident Evil 9, as there's a new rumor that claims that Resident Evil 9 is essentially going to be a reinvention, apparently, of the series, which not sure if this is like expected. I mean, I'm all for it, but it's going to be a reinvention of the series in the same way that Resident Evil 4 was and Resident Evil 7. So I find this pretty fascinating. Sage Infinite, you're saying it's Naughty Dog. We should see this coming. Yeah, I hear you, Fred. I hear you. Whiskey Gaming says, wow, new lights. Yeah, we got some new lights. Thanks to Mrs. MBG. Hold on. I did notice something, though. Boss, bro, are you serious? He's just sitting here. Like, look, do you see him? You could see him in the corner. He's like looking up at me like, treats? Treats? Like, bro, he sees the lights go on. What's up, Corey? Illegal Monkey, you're saying RE9 equals Resident Dead Island Ring? No. No, it's not going to be. Elden Ring is not being compared to Resident Evil 9. It's being compared to Intergalactic, or Intergalactic's being compared to Elden Ring, I should say. You would be surprised if the main topic of conversation from Intergalactic is the gameplay. I mean, it's obviously not going to be the only thing that people talk about with Intergalactic, but the Elden Ring comparison is very interesting to me because if it actually is similar to Elden Ring in terms of exploration and freedom and encounters, that would, for me, that would dominate the conversation. That would dominate the conversation. Corey, you're saying he senses you? Dude, he must.
Hey guys, it's Boss here again, Meow. I can't wait for the next stream, Meow, so we can hang out and eat snacks together. It's gonna be a good time. Meow.
Oh, man. That's funny, dude. Quite a heavy lift for Naughty Dog. You're saying Intergalactic is not an open world. There's a spring game showcase running right now. Is there? Oh, wait, is it that I forgot about that. I think that's the one Fred was telling me about. I always forget the name of it. Well, I mean, when it comes to Intergalactic being, you're saying it's not open world. I mean, dude, Intergalactic, it hasn't been confirmed whether or not it's open world. We haven't gotten confirmation whether it's open world or linear. And Corey comes in and drops 5 membership gifts for you guys. 5 membership gifts for Boss. You see that? Corey's he's gonna help try to get us there today. Once again, Boss. He's gonna do it in your name. So I hope you're thankful. Corey, thank you so much for that, man. Hell Is Us or Crimson Desert. Both. Let me add that to the goal. Boss, just you keep chilling out, man. All right. There we go. All right. So yeah, when it comes to Intergalactic, I don't know if you guys remember, but last year, I think it was in October, there was a report that came out, and this was before Intergalactic was revealed. A report came out, and it was from MinMax, from Ben Hansen, and he said that he was talking to somebody who worked on Elden Ring. Or sorry, Intergalactic, not Elden Ring. He was talking to somebody who worked on Intergalactic, and they were basically saying, like, this Naughty Dog's next game is going to be awesome, and you guys are not ready for what's coming. And he stated that Ben Hansen claimed that they were comparing Naughty Dog's next game to another game that is known for incredible, like, player freedom and exploration. And we did speculate Elden Ring was the game that they were talking about. Now Ben Hansen has come out, since Intergalactic was officially revealed back in December. He came out and he confirmed that that was the game that he was being told Intergalactic is being compared to. And I think that this for me, this kind of changes things a bit when it comes to Intergalactic, because I could end up seeing Intergalactic being a game that I don't even really care so much about the story, but if this is essentially going to be Naughty Dog's take on the Soulsborne or Elden Ring formula of some kind, I honestly am probably not going to care much about the story. I'm going to be very interested to see how they pull that off. You think it was a massive mistake to skip The Last of Us 3 in favor of Intergalactic? You should have done. You think they should have done this after The Last of Us 3? I don't know. I don't know if I agree. See, it's hard to have conversations about Intergalactic because we just don't know enough. but to me, this does reveal something. This reveals that the gameplay loop of Intergalactic is seemingly going to be very, very different from anything we've seen from Naughty Dog, right? They did make it clear, or Neil Druckmann made it clear recently, that you're not going to have a companion. You're going to be alone in the world, and that's a departure from what they've normally done. And we do know that multiple times Naughty Dog talked about their inspiration from games like Bloodborne. They did mention games like Elden Ring. And so I do hope that the gameplay ends up being something that revitalizes Naughty Dog a little bit, because I mean, I don't know if I agree that Intergalactic before The Last of Us Part 3 would be a mistake per se, because it really does it that can really only be determined by how much we enjoy or don't enjoy Intergalactic, right? We know enough thanks to the leak, and the plot isn't good. I don't know if that leak was legitimate, man. Yeah, I really don't know that leak was legitimate. It could have been. I mean, it was very detailed, but Michael, you're saying you're crazy. Intergalactic is going to be amazing. Well, I'm of the mindset with Intergalactic that we could end up finding out that the gameplay loop of Intergalactic is the best gameplay loop that Naughty Dog's ever created. And I really want to know if that's the case here, because I want to know what the conversation will look like. When we see a gameplay loop that is as strong as I'm imagining it could be in my head, and people look at it and are like, this looks like it could be Naughty Dog's best work ever. I guess what I'm trying to ask here is how relevant is the story at that point? Like, how relevant are the characters if the gameplay is that good? Why does Naughty Dog need to be revitalized? Well, I guess to a lot of people they don't need to be revitalized. I guess what I mean is just kind of seeing them come out, do something different, and I mean, I'll just put it out there, man. To see a Naughty Dog game come out without controversy, right? I feel like that's what I would like to see. I would like to see them reveal gameplay for Intergalactic that looks so good that by the time we're getting close to launch or something like that, nobody's talking about the reveal trailer anymore and the nonsense surrounding it. And when I say nonsense, I mean like kind of the ridiculous takes that people have, the conclusions they're jumping to without any, any substance, I guess. Here a little bit. John B., you're saying we haven't seen anything of the game yet. It's hard to tell. It is, because we have to keep in mind that Ben Hansen, the information he's giving us is coming from somebody who worked on the game that's saying, or I don't know if it's from somebody who worked directly on the game, but somebody very close to what Naughty Dog is doing. And they're saying that in terms of exploration and freedom, they're comparing that to Elden Ring. So that we don't know how far it extends when it comes to the comparisons of Intergalactic being like Elden Ring. Like, are you going to be able to customize your character? Maybe. Like, probably not in the way that you do in Elden Ring, but maybe you can come across some cosmetics and stuff and change your, what your character's wearing or whatever, or what the protagonist is wearing, because it is a named protagonist. So I assume that you're not going to be able to just completely create your character from scratch. Will this game have RPG elements? I think that's a big question that people have. I mean, if you're gonna throw around the game Elden Ring while talking about Intergalactic, I think people are naturally going to come to the conclusion that this game's going to have RPG elements. Michael Lynch, member for 19 months, says the problem is people create controversy out of nothing. Exactly. Yeah. Um, yeah, I knew when I was watching that trailer reveal live, like I just knew immediately, like, uh-oh. You know? Because I could immediately identify like what people were going to gravitate towards and what the conversation was likely immediately going to turn into. I understand that, people look at The Last of Us 2 and whatnot, and they use that as kind of like well, that's what I'm going to use to kind of judge Intergalactic, but I don't know that that's necessarily fair only because like Intergalactic it is something completely new. It is different. People only started hating Naughty Dog after The Last of Us Part 2, which, regardless of what you personally think of the story, it is a massive critical success at best and divisive at worst. Many people love it. That's a good way to put it. At best, it's a massive critical success. At worst, it's divisive. Yeah, I can agree with that take. Yeah. If Intergalactic doesn't have 80s style clothes, armor, equipable, it'll be a sin. I mean, I feel like they're going to do that. Yeah, especially because they showed that she was wearing like what Adidas or whatever. They're probably gonna have like a bunch of brand deals and whatnot. People, that's an interesting take, Sage Infinite, but one that I would say is maybe accurate. You're saying people act like Naughty Dog has made a bad game recently. Well, that's the thing, man. Like I've talked. I'm gonna try my best not to talk too much about The Last of Us Part 2. It's hard not to bring it up when we're talking about Intergalactic, but for all the criticisms I've had or have for you know my opinion on The Last of Us Part 2 story, I've always given Naughty Dog credit where it's due, right? I've always made it abundantly clear that The Last of Us Part 2 is not a bad video game. It is far from it. The meticulous level of detail, the gameplay, the cinematics, the animation work, I mean, almost every facet of that game is incredible. It just so happens that I didn't really like the story as much as a lot of other people did. And in some parts, I just simply did not enjoy. And that's fine, right? But putting that aside, like, you got to give the credit where it's due, where Naughty Dog hasn't made a bad game. And I think that's important to keep in mind when we have the conversation about Intergalactic, because, yeah, there really is no reason to believe that Intergalactic, the Heretic Prophet, is going to be a bad video game. In fact, there's only evidence that it's probably going to be a very high quality game. In fact, if Intergalactic, the Heretic Prophet is a more gameplay driven title from Naughty Dog, where there is a story, there are characters, there is world building, and all of these things are important and play a vital role, of course, but it's actually not the priority. The priority is we want to make sure this is the best gameplay experience you've ever had from Naughty Dog. Then I think this game could end up being uh, a bigger success than people might anticipate. But that is still just in the realm of speculation. What is not speculation is exactly what Sage Infinite points out, is that Naughty Dog hasn't made a bad video game. Regardless of the opinions that people have of the characters and the story, the plot decisions in The Last of Us Part 2, I think that's why I could never get away from the conversation around The Last of Us Part 2, because it is always wild to me to see that if somebody like myself comes out and it's like I have some criticisms, or I'm just going to express how I didn't enjoy the story and the certain plot points of The Last of Us Part 2, it people I think interpret that as the game's garbage. And it's like, no, it's not garbage. Well, then it's a really bad game, right? It's like, well, actually, no, it's not a bad game either. It's just I didn't like the story, and there are aspects of the story that I do think were not good, right? That I did think were bad. But I think what I'm trying to say here is there basically are, I think, dividing lines between determining what aspects of The Last of Us Part 2 are subjective versus what aspects of The Last of Us Part 2 are objective. And I think I've given Naughty Dog basically an A plus or an S plus rank or whatever grade in all the areas that are objective. Like, again, the gameplay, the animation, the graphical fidelity, the attention to detail, even the actors and how they're portraying these characters. All this stuff is like A plus, S plus. For me, maybe I give the story like a C or something, but to a lot of people, they don't see it that way. And so I guess when I look at Intergalactic, I imagine, well, what if it's something similar? What if the story just really isn't something that's captivating you or bringing you, you know, it's not evoking the same type of response that like something like The Last of Us 1 did from the story, but everything else is in that exact same spot, A plus, S plus rank. Then yeah, that's a game I'm probably going to want to play. MBG, you seem like a smart enough dude to have a healthy and interesting discussion about part two. I almost wonder if you'd appreciate um, more on a replay like I did. No, I did. I did play The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered, and I did get the platinum for it. And it's honestly, it was that second playthrough that made me have a greater appreciation for the game as a whole and what Naughty Dog did. Not from a story perspective, because it was just kind of interesting how I was able to play through The Last of Us Part 2 again, but without focusing too much on the story, but focused on the other aspects of the game that in my first playthrough, I'll be honest, the story has so many insane things going on, right? And the insanity of that story, it's no wonder why people are less focused on talking about the other aspects of the game that I think are actually even better. I mean, one of the things that was driving me crazy when I played The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered again, I think I played it January last year. It was like just how awesome. I'm like, man, this gameplay is so, so good. Like, if we were to get a Last of Us Part 3 that's just more gameplay focused and the story is obviously going to be vital, but again, like the story is like not as important and they're really just kind of focused on giving you like another Last of Us type gameplay experience. That really that's really something that I would be on board with. That's why I always talk about The Last of Us Online, because that's what that was going to be, just a Last of Us gameplay driven experience, and that would have been amazing. Angry Whale Watcher, you're saying I never played The Last of Us 2 and still couldn't escape it because it sparked a culture war that ripped across this channel for years. Yeah. Yeah, it's still, you know, it's still clearly having its effect, even with seeing something like Intergalactic revealed. It's you see a lot of the comments that people make, and I'm very eager to see gameplay of Intergalactic, because I do think that sometimes people, and myself included, we tend to veer into the territory of like Naughty Dog's a bad studio, and it's like they're just not. Regardless of the ideology that you may disagree with, and I get that, but putting that aside, like objectively speaking, they are one of the most talented studios in the industry. They have been for a long time, and they're likely going to be there for a long time, right? I'm not trying to say that we should bank on Intergalactic being a 10 out of 10, it being the best gameplay experience ever, but it's just there's so much evidence piled up that there really is no valid reason to believe that if you're somebody who enjoys video games from a gameplay first perspective, like gameplay first, then story, then everything else, right? Then presentation, whatever. If gameplay is king, there's no reason to believe that Intergalactic will be a subpar video game or a mediocre video game. There's every reason to believe it's going to be a very good game, and that's why I find this Elden Ring comparison so interesting, because it's like you got to really have some confidence to compare a new IP to Elden Ring, because Elden Ring, for a lot of people, that's their all-time favorite game. For a lot of people, Elden Ring is the GOAT. And so, yeah, man, we're going to have to see. We're going to have to see what they end up doing. And Corey the Legend Landiga comes in, drops a 20 bomb on you guys out of nowhere. Boss, are you ready?
Boss, do you read me? It's time to feed the beast.
Corey, bro, thank you so much. No, not. We're not eating that. I need to see W's in the chat right now for Corey dropping a 20 bomb. He did it. He did it, boss. He dropped 25 gifts for you. You ready? There you go, man. Good stuff, man. Good stuff. Corey, thank you so much, bro. You dropped 25 gifts today, immediately feeding the beast, showing incredible support for the channel. Guys, if you got gifted a membership by Corey, I better see some thank yous. Make sure you go check out some of the members content, okay? We've been doing members content for a long time. There's plenty of members content there for you. Please go enjoy it. And I will update this really quickly. Don't inhale it, okay? Chew your snacks, boss. Chew your treats. Looks like it. Oh, hold on. I don't know why this glitched out. But I guess I'll ask you guys in the chat, what are you expecting when it comes to Intergalactic and its gameplay? I'm kind of curious. What do you think about this comparison? How do you feel about the comparison of, in terms of Naughty Dog's next game, now we know it's Intergalactic. I'm hearing it's similar to Elden Ring in terms of player freedom and what you can do and how you can go about doing it. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I feel like it gets me much more excited about the game because I did really enjoy Elden Ring. Elden Ring was overwhelming. I'm not gonna lie. Elden Ring was so overwhelming. I had to take a break from it, and then I went back and platinumed it. But I think it was an awesome game, one of the best. And to be honest, I hope that the similarities run deep. Dark Cloud, that is unhinged behavior. It's beast mode. You're saying this dumb narrative needs to stop. Since when can't we hold a company or dev responsible, criticize the things they do wrong? I can criticize and still appreciate other things they do as well. Yeah, absolutely. That's the best place to be, in my opinion. Right? I think the best place to be is to be able to, call things as you see them, right? And not feel like you gotta skew it in a certain direction. If there are things that a development team is doing that you don't like or you're not on board with, yeah, you should say it. You should talk about it. You should let them know. You should voice it. But it shouldn't negate everything else. Vice versa, right? If you like something they're doing, I think it's also ideal to, be willing to listen to some of the criticisms and some of the negativity in the name of just ensuring that you're not getting to a place of extremism. And I think that that's the problem with a lot of these different topics. In 2025, a lot of people, they want to jump to the extremism very quickly. You good, dude? My God, he just destroyed those. You hope there's some exploration in the game, not just combat. Well, according to this report, yeah, there's going to be a lot of exploration. I mean, if you think about Elden Ring, I feel like literally more than half of that game was exploration. The other half are boss fights. If this is the game they're comparing it to, I mean, I'm really thinking this is going to be an open world title, dude. I'm thinking that Intergalactic is going to be the first open world game from Naughty Dog. Just because if they're putting that much of an emphasis on exploration, I don't know. I don't know how I don't know how you could pull that level of depth off when it comes to exploration in a linear game or even a wide linear game. Maybe in a wide linear game you could pull it off. I could see them maybe doing that. We did see in The Last of Us Part 2 in the Seattle section. That was basically open world, somewhat open world. I feel like that was the first glimpse at like Naughty Dog trying to do something more open worldish. You hope it's more forgiving than Elden Ring? I imagine it will be. The title doesn't make sense then. If it's an open world game, why would they call it Intergalactic? You think it'd be like more like Star Wars Outlaws? Well, the idea is the plot is this character you're playing as, Jordan. She goes to this planet, and I'm assuming it's to find somebody, one of her crew members or whatever. She's a bounty hunter, and you can't leave. Like, well, the idea is you're not going to leave because anybody who's traveled to the planet never came back. Anybody who's went, I think the planet's called Simperia or whatever. Anybody who's went there, they've never left. So there's a whole religion and whatnot, and it could be really cool, man. I do think that, there's a tendency to kind of jump on these things and immediately assume it's going to be bad or whatever. But I don't know. It does sound like ultimately it could end up being one of Naughty Dog's more interesting games. Lux, you're saying like Elden Ring, as in gameplay wise, or just freedom to go about like Bethesda Assassin's Creed open world game? Well, that's the only problem with this report is they didn't really go too in depth because, yeah, when you throw, again, around the game Elden Ring, it could be interpreted many different ways. It sounds to me they're talking from the perspective of like just pure exploration and freedom to go where you want. They didn't seem to mention anything about like gameplay. Like they didn't mention boss battles. They didn't mention like deep RPG mechanics or customization, but I'm still thinking that these things will be prevalent in Intergalactic or have the potential to be there because this is what Naughty Dog said that they're inspired by. I'm telling you, I think we're going to find out. I think we're going to find out by the end of this when it comes to Intergalactic that it's going to be Naughty Dog's take on the Soulsborne formula. I do. I think that's what we're about to see. I think we're about to see a Soulsborne title from Naughty Dog, and I'm all about that because those are, I love the Soulsborne games. They're some of my favorite ever, and it would be really interesting to see what Naughty Dog's take on that would look like. I do understand why some people would immediately be turned off by that, though. Lux, you're saying they tease with the space stuff, no space travel. That's what they claim. Well, we do need to be clear, Lux, that they never, at least I don't think they did, explicitly confirmed you won't be doing space travel. They're making it seem like once you get on this planet, you can't get off. But I could see them maybe just, we do know that apparently Neil Druckmann likes to misdirect. So maybe they could just be kind of trying to set it up that you just expect to be on this one planet, but the reality is we're actually going to be going different places. Maybe there will be a section where you are exploring space or whatever, or going from planet to planet. These are just assumptions on my part. Obviously, I have no idea, but it would make sense, right? Like it would make sense for them to do that, but they're being very quiet about it, man, and I wonder why that is. They're being very quiet about this game, and I feel like a lot of the details we're learning are it's I think it's helping paint a more clear picture of what we can expect, but it's not necessarily I would say instilling confidence in those who are still feeling anxious about it or unsure about it. It's just kind of like, well, all right, let's see it, right? You're saying there's nothing that suggests that this will sell well. I have no idea why Sony would greenlight this. this will be another multi-million-dollar mistake. I don't know that I don't know that I feel confident in deeming it a mistake. I can agree that I'm not sure it's going to sell as well as Uncharted or The Last of Us. I think the only way I could see Intergalactic coming out and suddenly like exploding sales wise and just really taking off is if the gameplay that Naughty Dog ends up showing truly shocks people. You know, I mean, shocks the whole gaming industry to where like, holy shit, we didn't think they were capable of something like this. And that's going to be a difficult thing to pull off because it would require them. It would mean that the focus on Intergalactic would be purely on the gameplay and really the story would take a backseat. And that's not how it's been for Naughty Dog for a while. It wasn't like that with Uncharted 4. It certainly wasn't like that with The Last of Us. And that's not to say that the gameplay wasn't amazing in these games. The gameplay was superb in these games. But it's just the story and the cinematics were so, they were the big focus. And I think it's safe to say that that's how people kind of view Naughty Dog's games, is it's, most people see it as like it's a cinematic story-driven game first. And I could see this title being the first Naughty Dog title in a long time that's like, no, this is going to be gameplay first. The story's going to be there. I mean, keep in mind, one of the things that Neil Druckmann said when it comes to this game is that, it's being inspired by games like Inside and again, referencing games like Elden Ring and whatnot, where you kind of uncover the story on your own. He did say like there will be cinematics and stuff and there will be characters, but basically Neil Druckmann has been telling us that we can expect to kind of uncover the story ourselves through gameplay and exploration. And that to me has the potential to truly transform, I think, people's feelings on this game if they can pull it off. If they can pull it off. Excuse me. Lux, you're saying it's got a butch bald lady. It'll review well. Does she come off butch though? I mean, I don't know. She definitely has that badass attitude. Like I like you don't want to mess with her, but I don't know. I don't know that I would say she's butch. Might be pushing it a bit. DJ with a $10 chat says, I think it would be cool if it were like Jedi Survivor with different stances, customization, and a big hub world where more is unlocked as you progress. You'd stay on the planet, but it's still open. Yeah, that would be pretty cool. I could see them doing that, actually. Yeah, Jedi Survivor, I think, had a lot. Jedi Survivor did a very good job of really kind of giving you a sense of, like, openness. You know what I mean? Like it's very wide open and there's a lot to explore, a lot. And I guess maybe that is a good game to kind of reference in this regard. And DJ, thank you, by the way. DJ comes in and drops a single membership for you guys. Membership gift, that is, bringing us up to 26 on the day. Very much appreciate that support, buddy. Yeah, I'm not convinced. I'm not 100% convinced that this game's going to be open world just because that's not Naughty Dog's forte. Naughty Dog doesn't make open world games, but they have made large open areas that you can explore. So I don't know if it's going to be one of these things where it's going to be that, but each area is going to be even bigger. And like you said, there might be like a hub world. Or if it really is just, if they're going to go for it and just be like, listen, you are on this one planet, but it's an open world. And it's going to have a massive map. I don't know. I don't know if I would be more excited at an open world Naughty Dog game. Because they have proven that they're very good at doing linear games and wide linear games. But at the same time, I could respect them wanting to try that and give it a shot. They're like one of the only really, really big AAA developers that I feel like hasn't done an open world game yet. I think most big AAA developers have made some kind of open world title. But I do think open world can be a bit overrated at times. I think that there was a time in the industry where every AAA developer felt like they had to make an open world game. And I think that that was just never the case. I don't think any game needs to be open world. I think if it makes sense to be open world, then you should make it open world. But I think there was a time when developers just felt like no matter what, they just had to make it open world. Like you're saying so far, it does seem more like a Jedi Survivor clone. That wouldn't be the worst thing. I don't know that it would be a clone per se. The real question is if Naughty Dog is truly going to be trying to bring something new to the table. I imagine they're going to try, but they might not. You know, that they might see this as, listen, we're making this game Intergalactic, already a risk. It's a new IP. We're already going to be toning down maybe the cinematics. That's the vibe I get, by the way. I get the vibe there's going to be less cinematics, more, again, more exploration. Naughty Dog might see it as that is their risk right there. Let's not forget that they were thinking about, or they weren't even just thinking about it. They tried to make The Last of Us Part 2 melee only. Melee combat only. There were no firearms. And that would have been really interesting. But they were saying it just simply wasn't working out. So I wouldn't be surprised if the core focus of the gameplay loop in Intergalactic, similarly to Jedi Survivor is, it's a melee focused game first and foremost. But yeah, I imagine. I mean, you could see the Star Wars inspiration even just at the end there. When she brings out her sword, immediately gives you a lightsaber vibe. Didn't they say in the Grounded documentary that they wanted The Last of Us 2 to be open world at first? I don't recall. Maybe somebody in the chat can help us out with that. I wouldn't be surprised. I always felt like the Seattle area of that game, I always found it strange. It always felt to me like the Seattle portion of that game was them, like they were going to go open world, but then they were like, actually, you know what though? Maybe we can't make this whole game open world. Wonder how her not a lightsaber works. Well, hey, if you recall, it looks like a I don't know what you call it. It looks different. It looks like a sound thing. There's to be a sound saber, not a lightsaber. Oh, there you go. See, now there it is. That's the not a lightsaber. It's going to be a sound saber. I'm curious to know more about the enemies in this game too, because the one part of Intergalactic, the trailer that we got, the one part that I kept watching over and over again was the ending when they showed the planet and they showed that one enemy and how she was about to face this enemy. And I feel like on the surface, I feel like there's nothing really that interesting going on there. To be honest, because if you look at it, it's like the world, I think, looks interesting. I want to make that clear. The planet itself, they only showed a glimpse of the planet. I'm really liking the vibe. It's looking dark. It's looking almost a bit creepy. It's not looking too good in a good sense. So I like that. I like the atmosphere. But then the enemy they show, it's like this robot with red eyes. Doesn't look bad, but also looks a little bit generic. And then she, I think, jumps off a rock or something and is about to like slice it up or something. And I don't know, man. I wish that they just would have shown a little bit more. Just a little bit more, because I'm just so curious, man. It's interesting to me how when I think about Intergalactic and I think about what we've seen so far, like truthfully, the first, like almost that entire trailer is not that interesting to me. You know, like I'm not really too interested in the dialogue between the characters. It's fine. Like I'll pay attention and get the context I need. I'm not too interested about, you know, the retro futurism even. Like that's cool too, but to me it really piqued my interest, the synth blade. Is that what they're calling it? Synth blade? I don't know. But what really piqued my interest was the very end of that trailer when they just tease like this is what the game's going to be like. Cuz what we saw I think in that trailer is not fully representative of what the game's ultimately going to be. The ending of it, when she's on that planet, that's apparently the planet you're not going to be able to leave. That's what the game's going to be. You know, that machine that she was about to fight. I mean, is that just a regular enemy? Is it a boss battle? It doesn't necessarily look like it would be a boss battle. That's why it's a teaser trailer. Yeah, I know. Well, here's the thing. Simp blade. It's a simp blade. Obviously. Well, there we go. How am I going to be able to customize my simp blade? Lux, you're saying robot looked like General Grievous from Star Wars. I'm not going to lie. A little bit. I was thinking that too. I'm glad I'm not the only one. I didn't want to say nothing. Is Naughty Dog just straight up making Star Wars? Or is that what we're about to find out? Hey, Tarnish, you're saying, MBG, I can't get your definitive opinion / perspective on the affairs around Naughty Dog and their current situation. And that's due to your stance lacking definition and is mired with contradictions on them. I know. It's because the truth is with controversial topics like Naughty Dog, well, topics, but studios. And Naughty Dog does have a lot of controversy surrounding it. I do tend to flip-flop a little bit because I'm like that guy that's like, man, I hate this thing, and I did like this thing they did, and I hate it so much, and God, they're so annoying, and why would you do that, Neil Druckmann? You guys suck now, and man. But then it's like, but the gameplay was really good. I mean, there was that one section where I was really enthralled and messing people up, and sneaking around, crawling in the tall grass. Pretty sick. And then I got discovered and I had to kind of run around, fight for my life, throwing bricks at people and shit. But wait a second. No, I don't, you know what I mean? It's like, I'm always kind of going back and forth, but that's why I'm trying to just, at the end of the day, I come, the conclusion that here's the best conclusion I can come to. All right. And it's that, and this is just me. I'm not saying that everybody should view it this way. It's just me. Naughty Dog is still one of the most talented studios in the industry. And I do not doubt their ability to produce amazing video games. But I also am prepared to find out that the story that they decided to write and go with for Intergalactic, the Heretic Prophet, might be one that I don't like. And that's okay. And ultimately, I could find myself viewing Intergalactic as a game when it's all said and done, where I'm like, one of the best games I played, but I didn't care for the story. And that's it. Like, I just think that's what it likely will end up being. Unless there is always the chance that, oh, actually, I do like the story. It was pretty good. And so if you think about it, that's kind of in the middle type stance, right? Where it's like, if you were to ask me the question, like, can you play a game? Well, let me ask you guys your opinion on this. Can you play a game like The Last of Us Part 2 and separate like the story? Can you basically come to the conclusion that, yeah, The Last of Us Part 2 for me is like a 9 out of 10, but I don't like the story. And that's because you're again, like every other area of the game, 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10, 10 out of 10, 10 out of 10, and then the story like 6 out of 10, 5 out of 10 or something like that. You know what I mean? But you still come to the conclusion that I still really like the game. That's kind of where I am. It's a bit of an awkward position, honestly, but it's an honest one. You know, it's an honest one. I can't sit here and say that I hate Naughty Dog and I will not play their games. I can't say that because that's just not how I actually feel. Lux, you're saying, MBG, did you see those clowns, Alana Pierce and Yang Ye, crapping on Sony for AI's Aloy video? Also, the voice actor of Aloy spoke out against it too. I did see a thumbnail, I think, from Yang Ye. Like, he was in the thumbnail, which I was a little surprised by because I'm like, wait, since when does Yang Ye put himself in the thumbnails? But I haven't watched Yang Ye in it's been years since I've watched him. I used to watch Yang Ye a lot when he was covering Metal Gear. So that was like many years ago. But I mean, as for Alana Pierce, no, I didn't see her video on it. I did watch Ashley Birch's video where she spoke out against it. And yeah, dude, it's getting real. You can't blame her. I thought it was kind of funny in a way where she was like, Guerrilla Games reached out to me and they, you know, they let me know. They let me know that they're not using this technology for anything right now. But yeah, man, I'll be honest. I have such a pessimistic viewpoint with this stuff where it's like, I don't think the actors and the actresses are going to win this fight. And I that's not me saying that I agree and am completely okay with the direction that I believe we're going to end up going in. But I do get this sense of it's inevitable. I think it's a slow start, and it's a process in which, you know, it's just the tiptoeing inch by inch. And I think at some point the floodgates will open, and it's just, you know, the reality I think that's going to be revealed. The reality that I think is ultimately going to be revealed when it comes to this AI stuff and, you know, voice actors and actresses and whatnot. I think it's just going to be that at the end of the day, publishers are going to realize that the market doesn't care as much as the internet wants people to think the market cares. And I hate to say that because it means that they're likely just going to end up going all in with it. But are people really not going to buy video games if they're made with AI? I mean, I'm seriously asking, like, do you think everybody's just going to stop buying and playing video games if they find out they're made with AI? Efficiency will win? Unfortunately, yeah. I mean, not that there's anything wrong with efficiency, but it's going to be a sad day because it's like, yeah, the humanity is like going to start being stripped out. Explain further. So let's take a game like GTA 6. Okay. If we found out that there were no human actors in GTA 6, do you think that's going to stop that game from breaking records? I'm going to say no. I will say there will be a big controversy. People will freak out. You'll see headlines. You'll see people typing up, you know, books about what's wrong with this. But at the end of the day, GTA 6 is going to break all records, and nothing's going to stop it. Nothing can stop it. What I'm trying to say here is that eventually we're going to see a product like this. I don't think it's going to be GTA 6, but eventually we're going to see a big big game that is too big to fail. And we're going to find out that, yeah, it was basically made, not mostly, but more than half of it, which I guess that would be mostly, but at least half of it was made with AI, including a lot of the voice acting and whatnot. And it's still going to do really well. And once that happens, it's going to send a signal to the industry, to every publisher in the industry, that we could just do this and people will still buy it. And yeah, that's going to happen, not probably this year or next year or the year after, but at some point that's going to happen because, yeah, it's kind of like what Whiskey Gaming said. The efficiency of AI is going, like, AI is going to replace humans with a lot of things because AI will be just objectively in every way better at doing the job than a human being will be, even when it comes to things like voice acting. I know that sounds loaded, but it's just, like, this is the problem with AI. We are creating a more efficient, I don't want to say being, because that would require sentience, but we're creating something that is going to be much more efficient than we are at pretty much everything. And when you mix that in with capitalism and the need for constant growth and the need to beat the competition, where do we think this is going to go? Where do we think this ends? I think it's obvious. I mean, even with me, could AI replace me? Probably. I don't know. I don't, maybe I'm an AI. Maybe, have you guys ever seen me in person? How do you know I'm not already an AI? Luckily, you'll never know. Sentience is an illusion. But I do think that saying AI doesn't create something new, it's just a mashup of current human knowledge and makes you think they created something new. But if you think about it, like, couldn't you make the argument that that's also what people are doing? I mean, if I look at modern day AAA games, what modern day AAA game is doing something that we could claim is truly new and not an iteration of something that was already thought of? Do I even have legs? I don't know. If I did, am I even wearing pants? You'll never know. Unless I stand up. The AI problem wouldn't be so drastic if the government could tax AI. Lux, you're saying most devs can't even get a game out without a day one update or multiple updates. Humans are too slow and sloppy. Bring on the AI, my future overlords. Well, there you go. And that's what's interesting. What's interesting is we have these conversations about, like, will the market reject video games, especially big AAA video games, if they're one day mostly made with AI? Dude, we're in the early days of AI, and I'm already seeing a lot of people being like, no, this can be a good thing. And, like, that's the early days. So I think from this point forward, as AI does become more efficient and it does become more unrecognizable, like, from the human touch, right? Yeah, I think people are absolutely going to embrace AI. And yeah, hold on one sec, guys. Sorry about that. Is Sophie AI making GT players boycott the game? As far as I'm aware, no. And, like you're saying, Lux, I didn't watch the videos that you mentioned that like Young, and Alana Pierce made. You let me know. I'm gonna assume they were talking about how bad this is, right? Like I'm just emphasizing that because like I just want to make sure they weren't saying it's a good thing. Because that's an unpopular opinion. And I doubt you're just gonna see people making, I doubt you're going to see people making videos being like, yeah, this is great. Ashley Birch should get replaced by AI Aloy. The funniest thing I've seen in regards to this whole situation with Aloy and the Sony AI demonstration, though, is the fact that Horizon is specifically about AI taking over humanity and like ruining humanity. And it's just like, great news. We got the AI working for our game about AI ruining humanity. It's pretty funny. Well, voice actors are going to become world-class builders, farmers, etc. AI would be able to churn out games at a faster rate. However, I think humans will need to clean it up a bit. Yeah, I'm not saying that humans are going to be completely replaced. I just think that the dystopian future for oh yeah, that you know what? That's right. That's right, Lux. You're saying they represent devs and voice actors. I also forgot that I know Yang Ye is a voice actor now. I think I don't know if Alana Pierce. I know she's been in games though. Okay, so that makes sense. I forgot about that, and that makes sense. Like yeah, if you're a voice actor or actress, like yeah, you definitely are going to want to be against this. But talking specifically about Ashley Birch, the actress who voices Aloy, and I think does the mocap for Aloy as well, with certain things. I do think that what she said reveals where we're headed pretty obviously. She made it clear that as of right now keep in mind, she said that Guerrilla Games, who is owned by Sony, Guerrilla Games reached out to her and said, we're not currently using this technology in any capacity for any of our projects. It's just a prototype or whatever. You don't have to worry. She said later on in that video that as of right now, no video game company. I'm not quoting her, I'm paraphrasing, but I'm pretty sure this is like close to what she said. Like no video game company as of right now has agreed to the SAG-AFTRA or like the terms of the voice actors and actresses. And those terms are like, if I recall correctly, she said like you have to tell us, like you have to be compensated for it, and you have to tell us what you're using it for, and you need our consent. I think those were the terms basically. And she said like as of right now, no companies have agreed to this. That includes Sony. It includes all of them. And I think to me that like that gives you your answer. Like we know where this is going. There's a reason why no company is agreeing to this, because they know that the moment AI gets good enough to replace them, yeah, see ya. We don't need we don't need you. I don't know, man. It's bleak. Lux, you're saying he's terrible at voice acting. She's a writer. I could have swore I could have swore she's been in a couple games though too. You're saying Yang Ye is terrible at voice acting. What I don't think I've heard him in anything. I know he played that one character, and they're like people were, it was like a big deal or something. People were like kind of upset. He was playing one of the Yakuza characters or something. I don't know, man. AI is looking more like a curse than a gift. Chris Brown says, I'm just over here trying to enjoy gaming to its fullest. Yeah, I don't blame you, dude. I don't blame you. He's in Inside Out 2? Really? What? Well, he moved up pretty quick, I guess. Oh, by the way, guys, if you haven't already, please take a moment and hit that like button if you're enjoying the stream. Really appreciate that. MBG, that's why I like you. You're not afraid of answering questions like this one. You're not cagey about anything. Oh, I appreciate that. Maybe, I guess you retracted that. Maybe you misspelled something, but I do appreciate it. Everyone will hate AI soon, trust me. Well, the reason why I find the conversations around AI so fascinating is because it's the greater, wider reaching implications of AI that I think humanity is completely unprepared to deal with. Where if we're talking in the future when it comes to AI and what it can do, the reality is AI is likely going to replace most jobs. Not all, certainly not all, but most. And you're going to have like millions, hundreds of millions of people where it's just like, well, what do we do now? And I think that that's a problem we're not prepared to solve. You know, we see that unemployment has been a problem, is a problem. It's always a lingering problem, unemployment rate. And it's like, dude, if we start to see AI just straight up like icing jobs left and right, and there's like no way to fight it because it's like they're just objectively better than you at this job in every regard, and they don't need to sleep and they don't need to eat. They don't have emotions. I mean, what do we do then? That to me is where things start to get really concerning, because it's like I don't know what we do then. It's either going to be a utopia or the opposite. It's going to be a totally dystopian future. It's going to be one or the other. Who's going to be getting on a plane with no human pilots? People will. I mean, yeah, that's going to happen. That's going to happen. You fight AI with government taxes, punish the use of AI by taxing it like a human. Yeah, they could implement something like that, but how do we afford a house? I don't know. It's a weird thing, man. I don't know. Again, I just don't know that human beings are prepared for the larger implications of AI and what it can end up doing. I think that the scariest thing about AI is its evolution rate. Like, AI is getting really good really fast. It's like it's getting really good really fast. And it's clearly going too fast, where it's like we're not ready, dude. Like, we're not ready. And I don't know that we would ever be ready, but this to me is just one of those things where it's like I think we're playing with fire. I think we're playing with something that humans are just arrogant enough. Like, the human species is just arrogant enough to believe that we have this under control, to find that, oh no, you don't. Of course you think that. You would think that. It's scary shit, dude. Like, I'm not gonna lie, AI frightens me. I don't do hardly anything with AI because I just don't like it, dude. I don't know. It's not that I dislike it. I don't even like people, so it's like I feel the same way towards AI that I do people, where it's like I there's something just not quite right here. you know? But anyway, when it comes to gaming, man, I watched that. Some of you watched that with me, but I watched the demo of AI Aloy, and I understand the appeal. I do. I understand the like. You have to try to get in the mind of like a business person that sees profits, right? What if you could befriend Aloy? That's what they're thinking. They're thinking, what if the reason why you want to keep booting up Horizon Forbidden West or Horizon 3 is because Aloy's your friend and you talk to Aloy? You know what I mean? Like, this is what they're thinking, dude. I know people are talking about accessibility. Like, this is going to be great for accessibility. Yeah, that'll be an inroad. Like, yeah, sure, it's for accessibility, but they want people. You have to understand, like, the whole point of these corporations is to find ways to exploit the human condition. The human condition is we have emotions and we get attached, and the more human something becomes, in a way, you know, like I'm telling you, I saw it. As I was watching that video, I'm like, yeah, like Aloy's my girlfriend, bro. Then you need more help than I can give you. Wait till AI picks up more and people will start losing their jobs. Now that's just weird. What if I want to have a conversation with Aloy about sandwiches or something? Well, how many of you guys saw this video? It got taken down by Sony, but how many of you saw this video of the like they were just talking to Aloy? Now it wasn't using Ashley Birch's voice; it was just a generic AI voice, but you can imagine it being Ashley Birch's voice, right? The voice of Aloy. And the way in which like the conversation was just very casual. And that to me is what makes this like a guarantee. I'm telling you, it's a guarantee Sony's going to use this technology in future games and on the PlayStation 6. And I think that many that's what all companies are going to do. It's certainly not just going to be Sony, but I think that they're going to see this as a way to keep people hooked and engaged with things like single player games in an even deeper, like almost to like a scary level, you know, a scary level. You think we're missing the point of that demo completely? What do you think the point of it is? Because we might be. I don't know. You just clicked on the video and heard MVG saying, Aloy's my girlfriend. What's going on? I'll let you figure that one out, Wabu dude. Make AI girlfriends, tank the population, replace the lost workforce with AI, profit. Oh my God. There it is. That's the equation, bro. That's scary. Check VGC. Sony has a new studio. Let's see. Oh. Oh. Oh, they did. Did they just announce this? Did they officially announce this studio? Interesting. Hold on, let me look this over for a second. Oh, wow. This was revealed by Jason Blundell very casually. Oh, I don't know when he says it. So it says former Treyarch co-studio head Jason Blundell was one of the lead creators of Call of Duty Zombies mode before leaving Activision in 2020 after 13 years. He would then serve as one of the co-founders of Deviation Games. Deviation Games did not get a chance to release its debut project, an original IP that was set to be exclusive to PlayStation platforms. In an interview with Jeff Gerstmann, Jason Blundell confirmed that the new studio is staffing up and that he would have more to share on the studio's first project in the future. I've had the amazing opportunity to create a new studio within PlayStation Studios for Sony, Jason Blundell said. The studio is called Dark Outlaw. So we got a name, Dark Outlaw. We've been working away in the shadows for a while we've got something to talk about. When we've got something to talk about, we'll step out into the light. It's such a privilege to be able to do it with Sony as a new first-party studio. Sony doesn't start up first-party studios all the time, so to have that privilege is humbling. Blundell would not confirm where the studio is in terms of production schedule. Other than that, the studio has been, quote, going for a little bit of time. It's been about getting the team to gel, he continued. I'm a programmer at heart, so let's test those assumptions. Is it working? You're trying to hit that escape velocity. Blundell also confirmed he's serving as studio head and director for Dark Outlaw Games. Bro, does anybody else get the feeling that he was not supposed to talk about this? I feel like he definitely was not supposed to just casually be like, yeah, we made a new studio. It's for PlayStation. It's called Dark Outlaw. Amazon has ordered 2 seasons of the God of War TV show. Okay, yeah, I hate it when this happens. I hate when news drops as I'm in the middle of a stream and I talk about it on the stream because I want to save those topics for tomorrow's stream. So I guess you guys got first dibs in a way. But that's really interesting. Dark Outlaw. What do you think of the name? That's a pretty cool name. I'm like trying to figure out if we can gather anything about what type of game they would make with that name, Dark Outlaw. No, you can't. I mean, look at Naughty Dog, you know? You would never think a game like The Last of Us was made by a studio called Naughty Dog. Very interesting. All right, we'll leave it at that, and we'll talk more about this tomorrow. I wonder if we're going to get any other information on this. I definitely feel like he was not supposed to talk about that, though. Like, I'm just a little bit surprised that he just casually dropped that info. If I had to assume this is going to be the LA studio, pretty sure that's the one. They could make a Hello Kitty game. Well, there we go. Sounds like a Stephen King novel. Just imagine them making a new Star Wars game. Well, again, there is a studio based in LA, a new PlayStation studio in LA. We didn't have the name of the studio, but job listings revealed they're making some kind of co-op title. So, Dark Outlaw. I wonder if they're trying to make a zombies competitor, dude. I wonder if they're trying to make a Call of Duty Zombies competitor. That'd be very interesting. I mean, Sony definitely believes in co-op games after the success of Helldivers 2. No doubt about that. Probably an FPS game. What's up, MRPD? Yeah, we just went over that. Jason Blundell's new studio officially announced, Dark Outlaw Games. Dark Outlaw Games. Now, he didn't say how long they've been working on their project, but he said it's been for a bit. So I don't know how long a bit is to Jason Blundell. Is that a year? Is that 3 years? Live service, I presume. I would assume so, yeah. I would assume so. MRPD is like, damn, I'm late. I thought I was early. It's all good, man. Nice backdrop. Thank you. Thank you. We need to send MEG on a diplomatic mission to Sony HQ in Japan. Something tells me that would go horribly wrong. The point is that you can't figure out what games a studio will make based on its name. It's fun to think about and speculate, but there's just no way to tell ultimately. I know, I agree. Yeah, their name could be anything, and there's just no way to know. I will say, though, that given Jason Blundell's history, Jason Blundell's from Treyarch, and he, he's of Call of Duty Zombies fame, pretty much. That's what he's known for. I think it's safe to say that this is going to be a, some type of co-op shooter. I think makes the most sense. I really wonder. So, I was going to say this earlier before we talked about the AI stuff, but like, not if I wear the Kojima shirt. When we were talking about Intergalactic, and now that we have this new studio announced, we've been hearing that Sony's trying to decide if they're going to do a showcase or a state of play this summer. If they do a showcase, man, it would be really interesting if they came out and they're like, here's the first look at Intergalactic gameplay, and then here's a brand new studio and a game announcement from a brand new studio we built. The one thing he says is very true. Jason Blundell said that Sony doesn't just build new studios very often, if like really ever. Like, it's not ever, but like they really do not build new studios frequently. Like it's super rare that they ever do that. So that's very interesting to me. You think Call of Duty Zombies has kind of gone downhill? Oh man, Gaming Survivor, that sounds cursed, bro. Lux, you're saying Jason Blundell's about to get a game canceled twice. Well, look, man, you gotta admit that like if Sony's literally building an entire studio for this one dude, they must have something. Like I know I said that previously and then we saw Concord, but I mean, this is after Concord, dude. That's the important thing. Is this is happening after Concord. So there's no way it's got to be something totally different, totally on the opposite end of the spectrum. It's got to be. When was the last showcase? The last PlayStation showcase was May 2023. So in about 2 months, it'll be 2 years. I think Boss just found a rogue treat. You saving that one, bro? All right. Let's hope it is. Yeah, I've been kind of waiting to see if we get any more news on a PlayStation showcase of any kind. I haven't heard any rumors or any leaks or anything. PlayStation had a showcase in 2021 and then in 2023. I mean, this generation, we've basically had like 3 PlayStation showcases in total. 2020 for the reveal, 2021 in September, and then 2023 in May. And the first 2 were good, really good. And the last one was just not good. So I feel like Boss is burying treats like a squirrel. I feel like we're kind of overdue. We're overdue. Man, that would be a shame though. If I don't think this game would get canceled. I think if this game was not coming along well and it was struggling, I think it would have already been canceled. But the thought of him getting a game canceled twice is just Here's what I think. I think the game that Deviation was working on, that's what this is. I think it was actually a good game, but to my knowledge and my understanding, the problem with Deviation games is that they were not managed well. Like there was like problems with people like taking money and stuff, and I heard a bunch of stuff that just wasn't going. It just was like kind of a disaster. And I think Sony, like they had a lot of talent. They had a lot of talented people there. That's worth noting. Maybe Sony was just like, guys, you look like you're making a really good game, but your management, like the studio fell apart on its own, you know? So I wonder if Sony just brought them in where it's like, you guys just need to be better managed. We need to trim the fat, be better managed, and because maybe the game that you're working on is actually very good. And it would be very interesting if this is the game that Deviation was working on, because if that's the case, then this game is way further in development than we would suspect. But there's every chance that it's just a brand new game, you know, and it's a new IP. And yeah. Guys, there is something else I wanted to talk to you about. Resident Evil 9. I want to talk to you about this game because this is a game that I'm personally very interested in, very excited to hear about. But I know a lot of you guys have been awaiting the announcement of Resident Evil 9, and we just talked about the idea of a PlayStation showcase. I am feeling pretty confident that sometime this year we're going to get a PlayStation event, and that's where Resident Evil 9 is going to be revealed. But we have a new rumor about Resident Evil 9 that I wanted to share with you guys. This comes from Dusk Golem on X. And this person has had accurate leaks in the past about Resident Evil. And they've also leaked some stuff about Silent Hill. But this person is coming out and saying that the reason why Resident Evil 9 is taking longer than usual, because people are kind of pointing out that the development timeline of Resident Evil 9, since it still hasn't even been announced, seems to be lingering a bit long in the tooth. He's saying the reason for this is because Resident Evil 9 is going to be another reinvention of the series. Basically, as much of a reinvention as Resident Evil 4 was, and then Resident Evil 7. Now, it's apparently going to be very ambitious and is going to try to do new things, some things very differently from its predecessors. And on top of that, apparently this game will star Leon. So there's one consistency there. Before we continue this conversation, though, we have Planet Schlorpian with a $10 super chat saying, what is going on with The Last of Us 2 PC port? Scarce marketing. It's apparently been ready for over a year. It's been made by a bad porting studio, and I wonder what will happen with the PC port. Dude, it feels like we're seeing a very similar thing occur with The Last of Us 2 PC port that we saw with Spider-Man 2's PC port, where it's exactly that. It just, I don't know that it was ready for a year prior to launch, but no marketing. No marketing. And if I had to guess, man, it's because I don't think it's a priority for them, man. They could ramp up the marketing next month, but I don't know. I think they just view it as like, yeah, we'll just release it at the same time that the show is coming out and hope it boosts sales. But I don't think they're looking at selling The Last of Us Part 2 on PC as like a main priority, as much as they just see it as, yeah, it'll be there, and if people want it, they can buy it, and it's just extra money for us. Now, you're saying it's being done by a bad studio. I would hope that The Last of Us Part 2 does not come in on PC. And I say this as somebody who doesn't care because I don't play on PC, but I would hope it doesn't come in a mess. Because The Last of Us Part 1 was a mess when it launched on PC. And it just was not good. You would think that they learned from that. And if you're saying that it was ready for like over a year, you would have to assume at that point that like, you would have to assume like it's in good condition, right? Like it's going to be well optimized, but I don't know. Sony's been kind of weird with their PC launches lately, but if I had to guess, they just don't want to spend any money on marketing. I think that's what it is. Lux, you're saying The Last of Us 2 will be fixed with mods on PC? No Abby? Oh my God. Oh, yeah, I didn't even think about that. The crazy mods, bro. Iron Galaxy, yeah. I think they worked on The Last of Us Part 1 as well. Yeah, Michael Clark, we did talk about that a little bit earlier. We'll talk about it again tomorrow more in depth. For sure. We'll make that like a main focal point topic because I'm sure there's a lot of people who still don't know. If it's a mess on launch, delay it, fix it. I agree with that. You know, I agree with that. I just think that it's people view what Sony's doing with like Spider-Man 2 on PC and The Last of Us 2 on PC is like they are pulling back on PC. But I don't think it's that they're pulling back on PC. I just think they're not trying to waste money on marketing. I think that's what it is. They're just like, dude, it's not worth spending money on marketing. We just got to put it out there. Like 1 trailer, 2 trailers, and that's it. And then just launch it. That's my guess. Anyway. Sean Mitchell with a super chat. He says, "What's up, MBG? Just dropped in. Did you pre-order DS2 today? I secured the collector's edition today, and I can't wait, man. June can't come quick enough. I did not pre-order it yet. No. Are the physical pre-orders up? Actually, I'm not getting the collector's edition. I don't do collector's editions for anything. Let's see, Death Stranding 2. So far, I don't see Death Stranding 2 up for pre-order yet. I see the listing. Is it available to pre-order anywhere physically yet? Sony Direct? Oh, is it up on PlayStation Direct? Let me check. No, I didn't pre-order it yet. I probably will when it gets closer to launch. Okay, so they're saying pre-order now. They still do have the collector's edition available, but yeah, I don't do the collector's edition. They do have the standard version for $70, physical version. That's the one I'm going to buy. Yeah, I probably will when it gets closer to launch. But Sean, I share your excitement, man. I do. And you said you got the collector's edition, so enjoy it, man. I hope it's everything and more that you hope it to be. Good stuff, man. Yeah, at this point I'm ready, you know. We still got to wait a couple more months, but I'm ready to play Death Stranding 2. I've been ready. It's up for pre-order on PSN. Okay. I guess it's still not ready yet on Amazon. Probably will be soon though. You saying the collector's edition ain't selling too well? I mean, I did see it's still available. So I wonder how many they made. I mean, you do have to wonder. You really do have to wonder them choosing not to do a physical disc version for the collector's edition. You do have to wonder how many people that sways away. You know? Because I saw a lot of people upset about that. What comes with the collector's edition? The main thing with the collector's edition, you get a digital code for the digital deluxe version, so you get it 2 days early. That's what they say, but you know. And you get a 15-inch statue of the Magellan Man, whatever that is. It's like a Metal Gear Rex on top of a giant body. It's a little creepy looking. But yeah, that's like the main Early access, my ass. I mean, yeah, dude, I hate that they're doing this stuff with digital games. I really do. It irks me, bro. They shouldn't be doing that. Yeah, you get like a key ring, art cards, stuff like that. They give you a bunch of stuff. I think Mrs. MBG specifically said she wanted the keychain. You get like a 3-inch keychain of Doll Man or whatever. But I'm like, I can't buy a collector's edition just for that. God of War and Forbidden West didn't have a disc either. Yeah, I mean, it's just that these collector's editions are selling to people who more than likely like they want the discs, you know? They want the discs. Oh yeah, you also get a letter from Kojima. I forgot about that. Don't forget about the letter from Kojima. Can't forget about that. All right, so getting back to Resident Evil 9, guys. I don't think I've seen that, Illegal Monkey. No, that sounds pretty intense, but I don't think I've ever seen that. Sounds like something Kojima might be inspired by. Oh, hold on, my YouTube studio crashed again. What happened? As an adult, I can withstand FOMO. I think I'm getting there. Yeah. Like, I'm still going to buy the physical version. It's like, screw it. I'll just have to wait 2 days. Screw it. Whatever. I say that now. Come April 24th, though. Or, sorry, June 24th. I'm gonna fold instantly, bro. No, I'll wait for the physical version. It's not that big of a deal. I will be a little jealous of people playing, but I will be absolutely staying off of Twitter and stuff. It's Beast Mode says, stay strong, man. Talking about Resident Evil 9, what do you guys think of this new rumor? No, I'm not going to double dip, bro. Apparently, Resident Evil 9 is taking so long because they're planning on reinventing Resident Evil once again. Now, the two reinventions with Resident Evil that we know of are with Resident Evil 4. It went from a fixed camera angle, more just a slower paced game with less. I mean, there was action, but lesser focus on action, more focus on scarcity. Fixed camera angle. Went from that to over the shoulder, action packed, while still maintaining horror and some tension with Resident Evil 4. And it was a huge departure and very successful. And then they changed it again dramatically with Resident Evil 7, where they went, first person, all horror themed, basically, like really trying to up the scare factor. I mean, I'm just trying to think to myself, like, where do you go from here to really, like, are we going to be going into like supernatural territory with like ghosts and stuff? Because I'm just trying to think, like, where do you go? I mean, we just got done doing first person like lichens and vampires and stuff, and I'm a little bit nervous. Like, I don't want them to get too ridiculous with it again. They kind of lost me with Resident Evil 8. I'm not gonna lie. You're saying if I reviewed games on here, I'd get early codes? Probably, yeah. I mean, I've been offered codes by some publishers in the past, but I don't know, man. I don't like the rat race. I'm going to be honest. I don't. No offense to anybody. Absolutely no offense to anybody. Like, I completely understand, but like, I don't like the idea of like, I got to be the first out there. or get out there as quickly as I can to maximize view. I just don't like that, man. I don't want to turn gaming into that. It's why I really don't stream games that much. It's why I just prefer talking about them. I don't stream games very much because I don't want to turn video games into that completely, into this. You know what I mean? I try to keep a separation, a barrier of some kind. And that's honestly why I just like don't really review games in the traditional sense. I just like to casually talk about them when I'm playing them. But yeah, there's no doubt that that's an angle I could more aggressively pursue on YouTube if I wanted to. Too ridiculous is funny because zombies are grounded. No, I don't think anything in Resident Evil has ever been grounded, to be clear. Resident Evil has always been pretty ridiculous. I don't know if people know that. That's part of its charm. You, Planet Schlurpian, you're saying you want to see traditional zombies return? Well, that's why I'm kind of curious, like, where could we go from here? I mean, what would reinvent the franchise at this point? I'm genuinely at a loss. I don't know. Like the only thing I can think is like a more supernatural direction of like spirits and shit. And but I don't know. Would that be taking things too far? An open world. Okay, I mean that could work as a way of reinventing it. Bring back the fixed camera. I definitely don't think they'll do that. Base building. I mean, I'm down for it, man. I'll be honest. I'm down for the idea of whatever Resident Evil 9 ends up being. I'm completely down for it being just something completely different from anything we've ever seen. But they obviously still have to keep something there at the heart of it. And I'm assuming there'll be Leon. Leon will be there. I don't think they're rebooting it. It doesn't sound like it's going to be a reboot or a soft reboot. It sounds like everything that happened in the previous 8 games and all the lore, all that's going to be still there, but maybe, yeah, you're going to be in a completely different setting, open world, completely different story. I think it's good that they're bringing back Leon, though, because Leon is my favorite character from Resident Evil. That's the big question. Will they do first person or third person? I'm going to be honest with you guys. I'm going to be pretty upset if they stick with first person. I didn't like when Resident Evil went first person, dude. I liked the game itself, but I can't deny that, to me, Resident Evil is a third person game. Alien zombies. Oh, shit. You gotta even think. Space exploration? Getting into some Dead Space territory? They'll reboot Chris again. Resident Evil 9, the real-time strategy game. Oh, no. Please pull up the Mortal Kombat 2 photos or movie photos. Why? What's up? What do they look like, Nobinzer? What do they look like? Should I be concerned? There was a rumor that Resident Evil 9 is going to be set on an island, on an Asian island, and it's going to focus on Japanese horror. But I know, guys. I know. I see people coming in telling me that a new PlayStation first-party studio was announced. I know. We did cover it briefly, but we're going to cover it as a main topic of discussion tomorrow. We're going to cover it as a main topic tomorrow. That's why I'm trying not to talk too much about it now. Resident Evil 9, the zombie waifu simulator. Oh, geez. The first person made it more scary, but you like third person. I mean, yeah, I do agree that horror is, I think, better captured in first person a lot of times. But yeah, I don't know. When I played the original Resident Evil games growing up, I was still pretty horrified in third person. Well, to be fair, like third person with a fixed camera angle is arguably even scarier than first person in a way. Planet Schlorpian with the super chat says, Will we see a temp annual release lineup again, like RE9 in 2025, RE0 remake in 2026, RE1 remake again in 2027, and Code Veronica remake, in 2028? I could see that. Yeah. I mean, these are all titles that apparently in some way, shape, or form are in development. Like Resident Evil 0 remake is getting the full-blown remake treatment. Resident Evil 9 we know is going to be big. I do think Resident Evil 9, I think your timeline might be a little bit off though. I think Resident Evil 9 is going to be a 2026 game. And then like Resident Evil 0 2027, and then so on and so forth. The reason why I think this is because if I'm not mistaken, next year marks the 30th anniversary of Resident Evil, and I could see them try, unless maybe they are going to shoot to release Resident Evil 9 this year, and then they have Resident Evil 1 remake ready to go for the 30th anniversary, which would be sick. But I don't know if that's their plans or not. I do think that they have a bunch of things in the pipeline though for Resident Evil. When are we going to get that Resident Evil Outbreak remake? Come on. Come on, Capcom. Lux, you're saying RE9 reveal at Switch 2 April event? LOL, imagine. It would be a bit surprising. It would be, because everything we've seen for Resident Evil pretty much since RE2 remake, every reveal has been at a PlayStation event. So it would genuinely be surprising if they deviated, but also understandable if they deviated and decided to go for, if they decided to go for like a, hey, Switch 2 reveal. That'd be pretty big. RE7 and Outlast are the only games where you've been truly scared. RE7 was scary. Outlast was terrifying, dude. Outlast was a terrifying game. Thank you for that, Joe Mac. I appreciate it. What are the chances we get a Last of Us remaster? I mean, it sounds ridiculous, but when the PlayStation 6 comes out, I don't know. Resident Evil 1 remake. I mean, I don't know that they're remaking 1. I know that we've heard Resident Evil 0 is being remade, and we've heard rumblings of Code Veronica. But I do feel like remaking Resident Evil 1 and trying to have that ready for the 30th anniversary would make the most sense. That would be pretty sick. And we do know that PlayStation Productions is also handling the new Resident Evil movie that's going to be starting over. So that's another reason why I think Resident Evil is going to show up at a PlayStation event. But yeah, man, I love Resident Evil. I've always loved Resident Evil. I grew up playing that. And what a great series. It's interesting to think, dude, like so many of my greatest memories with video games involve Resident Evil. It's actually like, it's weird that I don't think about Resident Evil as much as I should. Like, I should be thinking about it more, or it should be more prevalent, because when I think about it, it's like the first game that me and Mrs. MBG ever played together, like even before we were dating, was Resident Evil 2. Like, we bonded over that on the PS1. But playing games like Resident Evil Outbreak, it's like one of my first multiplayer gaming experiences on the PS2, no less. And there was you couldn't communicate through the mic. And, you had to call your friends and like be on the phone or whatever while playing it. All the mainline games, of course. Resident Evil 4. I mean, it's kind of crazy. I think where I fell off of Resident Evil, believe it or not, I think I fell off around 5 and 6. I did play a little bit of 5, and I enjoyed 5, but I didn't enjoy it enough to like, I think really, like, I just didn't enjoy it enough to really spend that much time with it and gravitate towards it. And Resident Evil 6, I had zero interest in. I like knew what Resident Evil 6 was trying to do. I'm like, you guys gotta be kidding me. What is this? It was like turning like Fast and the Furious or some shit. They pulled me back in with Resident Evil 7, but then kind of lost me again with Resident Evil 8. I did play Resident Evil 8, but I just, again, man, it just, I felt like this is deviating too far from what Resident Evil is to me. So I'm really curious to see like where they go with 9, because Resident Evil 9 is either going to be like, I'm completely on board. Resident Evil 8 felt like RE6 light. Yeah, I feel like that's what they tend to do, man. Like, they find this formula and then they just like very quickly take it too far, you know? Like, they just take it and run. And I feel like they got to slow down a little bit. I don't know what my favorite Resident Evil game is. That's a tough one. I mean, I want to say 4, but man, Resident Evil 2 has a special place. Outbreak does as well. I'm telling you, man, if you weren't there playing Resident Evil Outbreak, you were missing out. Oh, sorry, Lux, I missed your super chat here. You're saying Last of Us 3 for PS6 will bring 1 and 2 remasters for PS6. I don't know how they're going to handle that, man. I guess on the PlayStation 6 they'll probably call it a remake, maybe. I don't want to think about that right now. Listen, the only remake I want to think about for the PlayStation 6 is Bloodborne. That's it. That's all I want to think about. Anything else, just the thought of it kind of stresses me out a little bit. Because I have no idea what they're going to do or how they're going to roll that out. Because like I said, man, when we talk about the PS6, it's like it's going to have to be, we got to see what the PS6 is capable of before we can really determine whether or not PS5 games can even be remastered on it. Because it's like, it's ridiculous to even think about it right now, you know? You know it'll happen. But imagining what that'll look like, we got years. We got time. We got years. I'm not in a rush. Resident Evil 6 is beautiful, an unparalleled masterpiece. I can't tell if that's sarcasm or not. Wait, Novinzer. What are you referencing here, Novinzer? A Jak and Daxter remake for PS6? Huh. Yeah, I don't know that we're going to see stuff like that. I don't think those are games that are going to... Will Sony bring back Jak and Daxter? Probably not. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think that's on the docket, guys. You'll take a Returnal remaster for PS6? Yeah, I don't know. It's hard for me to imagine them doing something like that. I don't know why it is, but it is. We're too close to it. What if Resident Evil 9 dealt with hallucinations? Think you'll be infected and encounter enemies, but some won't actually be there, so the whole game you'll be on edge as to what's real and what's not. That has potential. It's going to be like a battle royale. We're reinventing Resident Evil. Resident Evil Battle Royale. Could we get a state of play for Death Stranding 2? I don't think so, no. I don't think you're going to get a state of play for Death Stranding 2 because I just think that we've seen a lot of the game already. I mean, there is a chance maybe they could be like, we're going to put out... Like, if Sony does a showcase, there's a decent chance that showcase would happen before Death Stranding 2 comes out. They could show like a dedicated chunk of gameplay for it at a showcase. That's a possibility, but I don't know, I feel like we've seen a lot of it. We just haven't seen a lot of raw gameplay. What could be a launch title for PS6? I think The Last of Us Part 3, believe it or not, could be within the launch window of the PS6. I think that Naughty Dog's been working on Intergalactic and The Last of Us back to back at the same time. There was a recent rumor that apparently The Last of Us Part 3 is in deep development. I think that comes from Daniel RPK. I don't know how accurate they are, but he was claiming that like it's in deep development. Like they're filming cutscenes and everything. So I wouldn't be shocked if that's a game that's going to be ready in time for the launch window of the PS6. Freaky Friday in Resident Evil 9. Leon and Jill swap bodies and have to overcome while fighting zombies. Oh my God. So that's the reinvention they're speaking of. What if Resident Evil's like zombie dinosaurs and creatures? Kind of like Dino Crisis on the Asian island. I mean, stuff like that makes me a little bit nervous. Not, like I said, Resident Evil has always been over the top. You know, like we've seen infected animals and everything else, but there are certain aspects of Resident Evil that I want to see kind of get back to the roots a little bit, you know, of like, you know, an outbreak of some kind where people get infected and it changes their behavior. What if Resident Evil 9 is like, you know, there's like a new strain. You guys tell me this because I didn't play Resident Evil 6. In Resident Evil 6, I know that they had like infected in there, but were they like sprinting zombies or whatever? What were they? Were they even infected? I don't know, they just look like people. They just become like really smart, advanced zombies or something. I mean, we saw the beginnings of that in Resident Evil 4, but there was like kind of limits, you know? We play as the zombies killing those evil humans. Well, that would be a reinvention. John B wants some alien invasion stuff. Oh, man. If they go in that direction, I'm going to be, I don't know. They might lose me. Resident Evil 9. The aliens are coming. You said there was a new Uncharted game by another studio. Where is this game? No, I don't know that there's an Uncharted game. We've been hearing rumblings for a while that there is apparently an Uncharted game, but I'm not convinced. I'm just not sure who would be working on it. But supposedly there is an Uncharted game in development. I don't believe it. You'd like to see what zombie inventory management looks like? Oh, man. I mean, talking about that, it kind of reminds me a little bit. It reminds me a little bit of Resident Evil Outbreak, because in that game, you did have a meter that kind of built up, like your infection rate meter. And if you hit 100%, you did become a zombie. And you could play as the zombie and attack the other players. It was pretty sick, dude. And I think you could get killed, too. I feel like stuff like that was so unique and interesting and ahead of its time. You're saying aliens could be cool, maybe something like A Quiet Place. What if What if we're overthinking the reinvention? What if it's just going to basically be like kind of like what Resident Evil 4 was, but open world? I just keep thinking about that one rumor, which again could have been totally made up, but on some Asian island playing as Leon, and there's some kind of new outbreak or infection or something. Sounds like it could be that. You know, the whole island maybe is explorable. There's different things you could discover. I mean, this would be pretty sick. This could work. This could work. RE9, finding toilet paper in March 2020. Oh. Now that's a reinvention. That's a new kind of outbreak. Lux, you're saying, I think they're just referring to it being partially open world when they're saying it'll be different to previous games. Nothing crazy. Yeah, I think I may be overthinking the reinvention aspect. I may be overthinking it. That would, if you think about it though, a open world Resident Evil does have some pretty significant implications. Because I have no idea what that would look like. Resident Evil, I don't even think Resident Evil has, what's the biggest Resident Evil game in terms of explorable area? I mean, I feel like they've all been pretty linear to a degree. So if they did go open world, it would be quite the departure. And I would be really curious to see how they handle it, because it could be awful. You know, like I would be excited until I see something that makes me unexcited, but it would just be so different from anything they've done with Resident Evil in the past. An open world raccoon, see, that would be sick, dude. Oh my God. Now that's kind of what I'm imagining, like an open world Raccoon City or something similar to that, where the whole city's kind of like explorable and you're like playing as the outbreak is happening, and that would be so cool. Now if they do something like that, oh man, I'm going to be stoked. RE4 is pretty open. Yeah, it does have some bigger areas to explore. But even still, when I think about it, it's like it's still pretty contained overall. Furious Legacy Gaming, you think Resident Evil 5 was underrated? I mean, I have to imagine at some point they're going to remake Resident Evil 5. It just makes sense, but I'm kind of glad that they're going to be remaking like Resident Evil 0 and Code Veronica first. An open world Raccoon City needs to be Operation Raccoon City 2. I played that game, dude. Operation Raccoon City. Not a very good game, but I had some fun with it. I played with some friends, and it was a good game for that. Like, but definitely didn't quite capture the essence of what Resident Evil is supposed to be. Looking back on it, that game was kind of ridiculous. Still fun though. I did have fun with it. I can't lie. Well, I'm eagerly awaiting new information for Resident Evil 9. That's why I wanted to talk about this today, because we haven't really heard anything. Like, this is the biggest rumor we've received, I should say, regarding Resident Evil 9 in a long time. Sean, you loved Operation Raccoon City. It was fun, man. Like, I do feel like that game was kind of frowned upon by most Resident Evil fans, but I had good times playing it with my friends. And I remember they had like that 4v4 multiplayer mode, which was kind of cool in retrospect. Like, it was 4v4 and you were in this kind of like open map to a degree filled with zombies. And you were trying to fight each other while also fighting the zombies. And I feel like game modes like that and stuff like that, you just don't really see it anymore. It's not very common. One of the other Resident Evil games I played a lot, by the way, was what was it called? It came out recently. It's not REverse. So don't say REverse. It's not that. It's the other multiplayer game, the asymmetric one. I think it shipped with Resident Evil 3 Remake. Anybody remember the name of this? I got the platinum in it. It was a good game. It was fun. It felt kind of like it was trying to be somewhat like Dead by Daylight, but with a Resident Evil twist on it. Can't remember the name of it. But I know it came with Resident Evil 3 Remake. Did you find another treat? Yo, boss really was hoarding his treats. You're able to kill Leon in Operation Raccoon City. That makes it a 3 out of 10. Resident Evil Resistance. Thank you, Jake. Yeah, that was the one. That was the one. That was pretty fun, dude. Like, I actually understand why Capcom really tried to push that and get people to play that, because it was fun. I had a good time with that game. But I think it didn't last that long. Hello, boss. Yeah, Resident Evil 5 had a co-op mode. Sean, you're saying, yeah, it wasn't anything groundbreaking, but felt like for what it was, still got too rough of a time. Well, I guess if I had to guess, I can't word at this point. If I had to guess, I think we're going to hear about Resident Evil 9 this summer. I think we're going to hear about it maybe in May or June. Possibly a little bit later, but I'm thinking May or June. I think during that time is when we're going to hear about Resident Evil 9. At least I hope so. I feel like I've been saying this for a while, though, so I could be wrong. I feel like for the last year, every 3 months, I'm like, yeah, this is when we're going to see it, and this is when it might show up, and it just doesn't. But yeah, man, that's pretty much all I have to say about RE9. I will keep you guys updated, of course, like if we get more information and more rumors about it. Because Resident Evil 9, unless I suspect my excitement for Resident Evil 9 will be much higher than it was for Resident Evil 8 and even Resident Evil 7. Like I said, I did like Resident Evil 7, but I didn't like Resident Evil 7 as much as everybody else. Everybody loved RE7. And I'm like, it's pretty good, but I'm not like over the moon about it. So the fact that Resident Evil 9 is going to be a complete shift once again, that has me very interested. Like, I'm really curious to see. It might end up disappointing me or not being exactly what I hoped it would be, but I'm very much anticipating it. The Revelations games are actually ones that I missed out on. Yeah, I haven't played every single Resident Evil. I did miss out on those ones. You're thinking Resident Evil 9 at a PlayStation event and RE0 remake at a Nintendo event. Okay. Illegal Monkey, I play games for the gameplay, bro. Get out of here with that nonsense. I play games for the gameplay. I heard Revelations 1 and 2 are really good. Yeah, so I never played Resident Evil 7 or 8 in VR, but I did play, I think, like a third of Resident Evil 4 Remake in VR. And yeah, dude, I mean, if I can ever get myself fully adjusted to VR and reacquainted with it, that was awesome. Dude, the thing is, I love the experience of VR, but I can't deny, like, it makes me feel like crap. It does. Like, no matter how many times I play VR, like, it ruins me for the day. I always get a headache, and I always feel like crap afterwards. And that's why I couldn't play VR anymore. I'm like, I just can't do this. But for the time I did play Resident Evil 4 VR, it's like, Yeah, man, it's it's really, really good. Like, really good, bro. I mean, it's full blown like a triple A title completely reformatted for VR. Planet Schlorpian with a $5 chat says, I wonder if Silent Hill F will take cues from Junji Ito's manga artwork. Sorry. Well, I would say if the rumors that we got previously are true about it being set on an Asian island and it's going to kind of focus on that Asian horror more so, yeah, it might. I mean, I don't want to say for sure, but I want to say there's a chance. It's a possibility. It's definitely possible. Planet Schlorpian 7 in VR was creepy. Yeah, I imagine. I imagine Resident Evil 7 in VR was much scarier than something like RE4. When I played RE4 in VR, I wasn't scared. It was intense. It was very intense, but I wasn't scared. There's that one game that people have told me for a while now, if I'm looking to really get scared in VR, with PSVR 2 is Madison. Madison VR. I've thought about it, but I don't know, man. Like if it's that scary, I don't know that I want to. Do I want to put myself through that? 7 was the scariest RE game. I agree. That was the scariest one. Well, actually, I don't know. I think the original games when I was a kid playing them, it was because I was a kid, but those games terrified me, man. They did. When I was growing up playing Resident Evil 1, specifically 2 and 3, I remember I tried to play those games on my own and I just like couldn't do it. Especially, dude, 2 with that music. Oh my god. I couldn't do it. I'm like, this is haunting. This is legitimately haunting. I was too scared. I heard that one's really scary too, Illegal Monkey. You're saying Visage or Visage. I'm just gonna say Visage. I don't like Visage. Sounds weird. Visage. It's too creepy for you. Yeah. Silent Hill 2 in VR would be hell. Outlast is another level of stress. It really is. Outlast is a very stressful game. You rather play Doom and Dead Space? Yeah, I saw there were like 5 VR2 games that got announced recently, which is good. Could you imagine if all FPS games, had VR support? Yeah. Well, I don't know what the future of VR looks like for Sony or the future of VR in general, but there's definitely some good experiences on there. I know that. Let me see here. To try the Alien Rogue Incursion VR game one day. It was so good. You going back up there, dude? Come on. You're slipping and sliding, boss. Oh, dude. Boss, you got too much fur, man. All over. Sorry, guys. He got fur all over my hoodie. It made me sneeze and stuff. If it gets good support, just not much, or it does get good support, just not much from Sony. Hope Sony gives Capcom a bag for VR support for RE9. Yeah, that's another interesting thing to bring up when we talk about Resident Evil. The last 2 mainline Resident Evil games got VR support for both PSVR 1 and PSVR 2 for RE7 and RE8. I don't know, though. Like, I think a big determining factor if Resident Evil 9 ends up supporting VR is going to be determined by whether it's first or third person. I think that's going to be the biggest thing. But I wouldn't, to be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if they don't. I wouldn't be surprised if they don't support it this time around. Because if it's going to be that type of reinvention we're talking about, it just might not be possible. Astrobot is still the best PSVR game. Sometimes I forget that that's where Astrobot started as a PSVR 1 game. So I see we're approaching the 2.5 hour mark, guys. So here's what we'll do. We will do a last call here. So if you want to drop any more support during the course of the stream, you're going to have about 7 or 8 minutes to do so, give or take. If you want to drop any more member gifts, we're sitting at 26 gifted today, which is awesome to see. So thank you guys for that. Corey dropped most of them. I think he dropped a 25 bomb on us today. So we really appreciate Corey doing that. If you want to drop any more super chats, any direct donations, anything like that, now is the time to do it before we wrap up here in a couple of minutes and head out. Maybe RE9 will feature Claire Redfield. The rumors right now claim it's going to be Leon. Sergeant, you like the new look? You like the lights? Yeah, I was telling Mrs. MBG that we've been getting a lot of compliments on that. So she did a good job. I wasn't even thinking about it. She just bought the lights. She hooked them up for me and was like, here you go. And I'm like, awesome. Awesome. And John B comes in. John B, I appreciate that, man. You've been gifting memberships lately. He comes in, he drops a single membership for you. John B is trying to encourage you guys to get a little member train going before we head out here. He brings us up to 27 on the day. So 3 more, we hit 30. See if we can maybe get that done. Do that before we wrap this up. I'll give you
Thank you. Appreciate it.
There you go, John B. Yeah, some W's in the chat. Also, I'm looking at your JB. John B. Enjoy it while I can. My name is also John. Chris White, you're saying great stream. Seemed much more positive and chill today. Love seeing everyone get along better and less trolling. Yeah, I agree. I think today's stream was good. And yeah, this is just me trying to be a little bit more focused, a little bit more vigilant, and trying to make sure that if there's anybody in the chat that is clear, like there, in my opinion, there is a difference between somebody who is disagreeing and somebody who's trying to be disruptive. I think that there is a difference, and yeah, I think that it's just a matter of keeping that under control and getting better at separating those things. And I think we can have better streams, overall more productive streams. It's MBG's clone. New MBG lore just dropped. His name is John. Well, I mean, I feel like I've said that a couple times, but yeah, of course people are going to miss it. You go with YouTube names, you're always going to be MBG. Yeah, pretty much. I'm cool with that. I mean, MBG can stand for mental breakdown gamer too. That's fine. I've had enough mental breakdowns on stream to justify MBG standing for that. I'm glad you guys like to use the Arnold emoji. I always like to see that. RE2 menu music scared the hell out of me as a kid. Like when you press start and it goes Resident Evil 2 and it has that creepy music. I know. Dude, I'm telling you, the soundtrack for RE2 is horrifying. It really is. Like it might be one of the scariest soundtracks ever. Probably not, Novinzer. I roll solo, man. Blue box mental breakdown. Yep. Never forget. Mold building gamer. You got 20 friends who call you cheater instead of your name. Interesting. I mean, that kind of is how it goes, right? That is how it goes when you have those nicknames. They tend to stick. Not a bad thing. I guess it depends on the nickname, right? Gaming Survivor, I have some bad news for you, buddy. Mrs. MBG just informed me that if you say that our house has mold one more time, she's taking away your mod ship, bro. Better watch out, Gaming Survivor. Better watch out. Here, Luna. Gaming Survivor's over here like, uh-oh. The startup sound at the menu for the original Silent Hill 2 is something of nightmares. Absolutely, bro. Boss, you already got plenty of treats. Let Luna have a couple. Don't be rude. Don't be rude. Don't be rude. Share. All right, guys. We're about to hit the 2.5 hour mark. This is going to be a good place to wrap it up. I want to thank everybody for joining the stream today. Really appreciate the support. Want to give a big shout out to everybody who dropped membership gifts. Big shout out to Corey, dropping a bunch of membership gifts today. John B. And who else dropped a membership gift? And DJ as well. Thank you, guys. Also, a big shout out to everybody dropping super chats. A lot of super chats today, a lot of support, keeping the conversation going in different directions, which I appreciate. And just want to thank all of you guys for hanging out and tuning in. Do me one last favor as we are heading out, and be sure to hit that like button if you enjoyed the stream, and just to let me know that you're enjoying them. And also, boss, stop it. Hey, boss is being really rude right now. Also want to give a shout out to Devil Shooter, who does the timestamps for the streams. So if you see Devil Shooter in the comments, give him some thanks, show him some love. I know he really appreciates that, and he does a great job for the community. So yeah, great stream. Again, thank you guys for hanging out. Please enjoy the rest of your day. Go check out the news video that I put out earlier if you haven't, and we should be back here hopefully tomorrow with another stream. So until then, take care, everyone.